everyone, meet DG Elmore. DG, I used to read everyone's bio, but how would you describe yourself, DG, for all of these different business, for just so you know, Busana Apparel is a wonderful company with 3 different business units, and they provide textiles and clothing for companies such as Kohl's and Gap and Ralph Lauren and all the other stuff. How would you describe what you do in terms of the corporate space?
I would say we are a family office that makes direct investments. We own many different businesses, and we do almost all through acquisition, and then we hopefully build those businesses up. So we're like a small PE firm, or what's now coming to be known as a family office that does direct investing.
And so in some sense, was it your father or your grandfather who started the company?
My father started some companies, and then I bought one of those from him, and then I started building companies. And now we have my children are buying companies and building companies.
Yeah. Got it. And can you share with the group a little bit of what you're doing with baseball and sports? And so as we lead into our conversation, developing followership and team building.
Yep. So in baseball, we own 7 minor league baseball teams in the United States, and those that's the most anybody owns. So we're the largest ownership group of minor league baseball teams in the United States, and I have been very involved in the process of negotiating new agreement between minor league and major league baseball. Most of that was going on during 2020. So Q3 and Q4 of 2020 were probably one of my most challenging 6 months of my life because of both COVID and negotiating with Major League Baseball.
Very good. Well, my friend, it is an honor. I know you're in New York. It is late for you tonight. And for those who are sitting in Indonesia, thank you so much for changing up your schedule. I know usually we get together at 7:30. It is 8:30 your time. I'm going to have DG speak for a while, and then we're going to do Q&A. As usual, if you have Q&A, whether it's in Bahasa or English, please put it in the chat, and then we'll interact with DG on there. Willie is here to help me to translate for some of those. So please, I love to hear your questions. DG, there's no filter questions that you can't or can ask. And so, DG, I'm going to turn it over to you. Topic today, team building. How do you build a team?
Yeah, it's great to be with all of you. I have a slide deck, and I'm on my iPad, so I'm going to do my best to see if I can share this with you. Can you still hear me?
Yep, we can still see it. We just see your face. I mean, a picture of your face yet. Oh, there it is.
All right. So, all right. So can you guys see my slide deck here?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So Elmore Companies, this picture of my family, just to give you a little bit of background on us. My wife and I just celebrated 41 years of being together. We have 6 grown children, and 3 of them are married. We now have 3 grandchildren and another one on the way. And I travel 2 to 3 days a week. So my wife jokes that while we've been married 41 years, we've really only been together about 20 of those years. And so this is what it looks like for us to be out on some adventures together and building memories together. Here's a smattering of the different companies that we own. You can see along the left side, we have a bunch of the baseball team logos. We have a fire protection company, a lot of services types of businesses. And in the staffing area, we have companies in the travel management space, food manufacturing, technology, media, all sorts of things, food manufacturing, heavy equipment manufacturing, whole bunch of different businesses. You know, I think my first team, I was out of law school, and my dad had a company that he had founded, hired some guys to run, and they messed it up. They committed fraud, they stole money. He had to fire them all, obviously. The bank was angry with my dad. It was losing negative cash flowing about $200,000 a month. So it was a mess. And I'm right out of law school and MBA school. My dad needed someone to run this. And I said, okay, well, I'll do that. And so I'd say, you know, it is safe to say that I didn't select the team and they didn't select me. You know, you may have heard it said that you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family. And I'm here to tell you that the same is true about your teams, that you can't always pick your team. Sometimes you just inherit your team. So, you know, you're thinking about how do you create a sense of followership, which on the other side of the coin, that's leadership. How do you lead a group of people that you're just there? You inherited them. And now you know, it could be you're in the same organization, you're in the company that you all are in, and you've been elevated. Someone else has left or moved up or moved out, and you're stepping in, and this may not be your ideal team, but you've got to deal with them. And so what I found that I needed to do was I needed to build trust. And I built trust using these 4 principles. The first one was a sense of humility. I told the managers that reported to me, you know, I said, I'm good at a few things. And I know the things I'm not good at. And I also know that they were good at things that I wasn't good at. So I knew that I was super competent when you get to competency. You know, I knew what I was good at. I was good at law. I was good at accounting. I was pretty good at building a team, but I didn't know much about the travel management business. And so I was humble with them about that. I didn't pretend to know what I didn't know. And then this idea of inclusion is that you need to cast a wide net. Who are those people that you can gather together onto your team? Who are the outliers out there maybe that, you know, maybe previously hadn't been thought of as leaders, but could be leaders? So you're thinking about what's that big net look like, and who can you bring into your team? And then this idea of competence is that you display your competence, you display your strengths, and you stay away from your weaknesses, and you look to help others build up and encourage them to do the same and lead with their strengths. And then the idea of support is I just wanted them to feel supported. And so, you know, it might be like bringing in snacks. You know, I would bring in donuts in the morning. I would take them out for lunch. I would buy pizza for the office, you know, just things that would help them feel like I cared, that I was supporting them in what they were doing. And, you know, one time is like, I just said, what are all the reports that you all do? And what reports do you just see absolutely no value in? And so we were able to get rid of some stuff and free up time for them to do what they really love to do, which was take care of the customers. And so it's things like that where they start to feel supported. And in that particular situation, when I did that, when I was humble, when I was inclusive, when we all were playing to our strengths and our competencies, and they felt supported, we started to build trust, and that allowed us to start building a team. You know, that in my mind, a team is very necessary. You know, you may feel sometimes like this is really hard, you know, but the best teams, the best organizations are built on teams. I mean, it may be a couple of people, but if you think about it, I mean, just a few of them, you know, as Bill Gates and Paul Allen at Microsoft. It's Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak at Apple. It's Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger at Berkshire Hathaway. And you can just go down through the list. There's hardly a business out there that, even if you have like the main point person that everybody knows about, sort of like a Steve Jobs, there's always that person that's right there with them. It's very rare that it's just one person. And so a team is really necessary. And I think one of the reasons it's necessary is you've got competition. So this idea of we got to defeat the competition. And there's this old ancient proverb that says, two are better than one. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. And though a person might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. Three are even stronger together. So it's just this idea of, it's a tough world. In a company, we've got competition. We have competitors. We have other companies that are substitutes for what we do. We have governments that are causing us challenges. We need to defeat the competition. To do that, we're going to need talent together in a team. Another reason that we need a team is I need a team to cover my weaknesses. I'm not good at everything. So you need to know your strengths and know your weaknesses. And then you need to make sure that you know the strengths and weaknesses of each person on your team. Because if you're going to build out a team and you're going to lead that team and they're going to follow you, there's a sense of we're in this together and we are unique and we know our strengths and weaknesses and we're all moving with our strengths. And then endurance, it's easier to go with others along. And I love this African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. I saw this play out significantly with our minor league baseball teams during the coronavirus. We had a number of our companies that went to zero revenue for months on end. And baseball, as you might imagine, was one of those businesses that from when we usually start playing in April, all the way through the summer of 20, not a single game was played. And each week I had the general managers, the guys that run those ball teams, I had them on a Zoom call every single week. And what we would just be talking about, how we were going to get through this. And we would learn from each other, what are some unique things that maybe we might be able to do at the ballpark if we can't play baseball? What are the rules and regulations in different parts of the country that would allow us to do certain things, even if we didn't have baseball players? What are those events that we could do? And in some cases, it was almost like a therapy session. People are just sort of, they're just sad and discouraged, but there's a sense of, if they can be together in that, there's a sense of hope that came from that. And so we found it really important to bring people together and have a sense of like, we're together in this, we're going to get through this. We don't know when, we don't know how long, it's going to be hard, but we will get through it and we'll get through it together. That's really important aspect of what we learned about endurance and the necessity of a team last year. When you're gathering a team, you need to look for that, make sure that all the teams or your team and all the people are appropriate for the task. And, I think that you have all these different parts. And how are you going to pull those together? You got to pull them together. And I like this idea that's the person, use the people that are appropriate for the task. So if you're going to cook it one egg, fry an egg, you're not going to use the gigantic pot to fry one egg. You're going to use the small skillet. So likewise, when you're thinking about pulling your team together, gathering the team, those pieces you're trying to put together, you don't go out and hire the certified public accountant when all you need is the bookkeeper, right? So that's this idea of you need to find, as you're pulling your team together, find the people that are appropriate for the task. The next thing is that you need to pull together the best team you can afford. So I might love to have this Range Rover on the left here. I've driven in a Range Rover. I really like those, but my budget would be for the Honda, the little car there on the right. And sometimes that's how it is. We may want the best person available in the marketplace, but we just can't afford the best person available in the marketplace. So we have to think about getting the best that we can afford, and just realize sometimes that is not the absolute best person out there in the marketplace. And you'll hear people that will comment saying you have to hire the best talent. It's like, yeah, you do, but you have to have it within your budget. I can remember recently we were looking to hire a number 2 person for our family office administrator. And I thought we had the best person, perfect person. She was going to be amazing. And then when we asked her what her salary needs were, it was double what we had budgeted. And so while she was a Range Rover, I mean, she was perfect. Would have loved to have had her. She would have been fantastic, but we were on a Honda Civic budget and we just couldn't afford it. So you have to go out, get the best you can afford, be realistic about what you can afford, and get the best you can afford. And then, when you're looking to hire and building your team and you're gathering them up, look for people that are complementary and diverse. Some of my family love to do jigsaw puzzles. I'm not a huge jigsaw puzzle person, but I've seen my family and they love doing it. And, the interesting thing about jigsaw puzzles is, all those pieces are different. They all have to fit together. If they're all the same, they don't fit together. It doesn't complete the puzzle. And so we need to be thinking about building a team with unique and diverse and complementary pieces to the puzzle, and not try to get people that are all the same, because it doesn't make for the best and most complete team. Sometimes it's a little bit messy, but sometimes you can build an amazing team. This picture, this is built by Legos. All these boats, this dockyard, shipyard, all of those are Lego pieces. So it gives you a sense of when you put it all together, and they're all a little bit different, but you can get it assembled, you can have something that really looks quite amazing. So here are some things I think are really key to successful teams. So you need to build on a shared commitment to purpose. Why do we do what we do? I suspect that all of you as leaders in the business understand why the company does what it does and what your role is in that. So when you're taking that to your teams, you need a good leader is helping people understand why we do what we do. And then a good leader is helping people understand there's a commitment to a vision. Where are we going? What does that future look like? And that we're heading there. And then a great leader is going to help people understand what are the values of the organization, the guiding principles with which we're going to work and operate and govern. And then we have this idea of goals. What do we want to accomplish? What are we looking to accomplish together? What are those goals? So you have to understand what are the goals that we're going after here. And then we need to build a shared commitment to one another. And it doesn't have to be that we don't have to love each other. We don't even have to like each other, but we need to be committed to each other in achieving the goals. So it's not achieving the goals without the other people, because that's not a team. That's just individual stuff. This isn't an individual sport. This is a team sport. This is team effort. And so we need to be committed to one another to accomplishing our goals with our vision and values and purpose in sight. And one of the great ways to build a successful team, or frankly, you could use this for a family as well, is building successful families. You got to have, what are we all about? Where are we going? What are our guiding values? What are our goals as a family? Loving one another. And then memories is huge, is that we have to build shared memories. It's whether it's hard stuff or fun stuff, but we're doing it together and we're celebrating the successes that we have. That picture of my family that I showed in the beginning in the Swiss Alps, that was part of what we like to do about every 5 years, of a huge family gathering going somewhere in the world to experience some other things. And it allows us to have those shared memories. So when I think about leading a team, this isn't an exhaustive list, but I think about personal qualities, about the need that we need to be humble. So when something goes wrong, do I take the blame? Do I look at the mirror and do I say to my people, I failed? Do I own and my responsibility for the failure on the team or my personal failure? And when things are going great, do I push out and put the credit someplace else in the organization to the other members of my team, and not take on the accolades? So I want to just get it out there and let other people receive the praise. And then I mentioned it earlier, is just being honest. It's honesty. It has so many facets to it, a little bit like a diamond. It's like we need to be honest in our personal assessment of our personal abilities, honest in our assessment of our direct reports. We need to give honest feedback, honest communication. And it's essential that if we're going to lead, people want to follow people that are honest. They want to follow people that are humble. They want to follow people that are competent. You must focus on the areas where you're competent. And then you want to excel in those areas. And then people want to follow someone that's hardworking. As a leader, you must always be setting the pace. And those are the types of qualities of people that they want to follow. And then we think about that leaders need to provide this idea of a vision of the future. We talked about that a little bit. That, it's like we need to help them understand, where are we going? What does winning look like? What's the finish line? How's the score being kept? There's some friends of mine who went to university at the West Point, the United States Military Academy. And one of the training regimens they have for a certain type of person that they're looking to find is the Army will tell this group of people that they think might fit with what they're looking for. They'll tell them to start running. They don't know how far they're running. They don't know when they're going to be told to stop. They don't know what the finish line is. And I don't know about you, I'm not a runner, but even if I was, I think that would be really hard to do, because you're being measured. They're watching you, they're grading you. but you don't know what any of the standards are. You don't know how fast you're supposed to be running. That would be very frustrating. And our people find that frustrating when we don't help them know what's the finish line, what's the goal, what are we trying to accomplish. So we need them to know what does winning look like? How do we score points? How do we score goals? You know, what does it take? They want to win. They want the company to be successful. They want to be successful, but we've got to help them understand, how do we measure that? How does it get measured? Now, another aspect, and then I'm just about done, is just this idea of encouraging debate. You know, I know that in the United States, we tend to be more aggressive regarding debate and argument. And I know that in different cultures around the world, it is not as common to have debate and to argue over issues, but it is essential to figure out, how do we bring people together to share their views? I can't tell you about what that looks like in Indonesia to get that to happen, but it's essential that there is a group of people that can be open about how they're going to solve problems, be open about the issues, because that's where the best ideas come from. It's not just the person that's the oldest. It's not just the smartest new guy or gal on the team. It is a combination of everybody coming together. And then finally, no individual strengths and weaknesses. I don't know how many times I've said that in this talk, but it is essential to leading a team. I spend a lot of time helping people think about and understand what their team's individual strengths and weaknesses are. And so when I'm meeting with the leaders of our various companies, what I'm doing is I'm asking them, you know, about their people. What's their team look like? And then I help them assess that and figure out, okay, what are their strengths and weaknesses, and how can you help them in those areas?
Folks, thank you very much. I know you have a job, you have a work to do. It is 9:30 Jakarta time. DG, thank you very much. I know it's 9:30 Eastern time on your end.
That's okay. Thank you all. I'm sorry I couldn't go earlier today, and I really appreciate all of you hanging in there this morning with me. So have a great day.